The Lord be with you. Reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. The disciples came to Jesus and said, "Who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven?" So he called a little child to him and set the child in front of them. Then he said, "I tell you solemnly, unless you change and become like little children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. And so the one who makes himself as little as this little child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. Anyone who welcomes a little child like this in my name welcomes me. See that you never despise of these little ones, for I tell you that their angels in heaven are continually in the presence of my Father in heaven. Tell me, suppose a man has 100 sheep and one of them strays, will he not leave the 99 on the hillside and go in search of the stray? I tell you solemnly, if he finds it, it gives him more joy than do the 99 that did not stray at all. Similarly, it is never the will of your Father in heaven that one of these little ones should be lost." The Gospel of the Lord. I don't know about you, but when I was growing up, there was a comment often made if you had visitors, you'd get it. There was 5 of us at home, and it would be, "Children should be seen and not heard." That's what you'd hear. And you had to figure that out, what that meant to yourself. And you learn the hard way that you should be seen and not heard, you know. It's maybe a bit different today in many ways. But our Lord is using the image of a child. You see little ones when they start to stand up on their feet. And I mean, to be a child again and to look up at adults, just imagine what that was like to be a child. It's hard for us to remember. But when we were children, we tended to be quieter, didn't we? And you'd cling onto the leg of an adult and you'd be listening. There was another thing my mother said, "Stop listening," you know. But sure, you had to listen because you were learning a language, so you listened. The child takes it all in. But our Lord is using that example for us. He's saying, to be not just innocent, because not all children are innocent, you know, we're not all that innocent and small. It's to be that vulnerability before him and not to be looking for attention. We're living today too in a world that, you know, again when we were younger, you didn't get all that much praise, did you? Do you remember getting all the praise? We didn't get that much of it. No, you didn't. Today is the opposite, isn't it? They're absolutely fantastic and wonderful. They could be little devils, but they're fantastic and wonderful. I'm not saying you shouldn't. All of us would have loved a bit more praise as children in many ways. But Jesus is saying that. He's saying that God comes first, and the ego to be developed. We all know that. If you praise a person too much, their heads get very big, don't they? I mean, you'll never get them out the door. They think they're wonderful. And if you know yourself in the world, in the modern world out there, the more praise you give, the bigger the head and the bigger the fall. The bigger the fall. So it's to be moderate in our praise and make sure that God is praised primarily. This is what Jesus is saying. To become like a little one, God comes first. There's always an adult. There's always someone bigger. Let them take over. And that's why he's saying, let me be the bigger part. But if you want the praise, look out, because your old head is going to get expanded. And you won't get out the door with it. You know, someone will pierce it, by the way. There's no doubt about that. That's why I live in a religious community. You get pierced every day of the week through that, in simple ways. Then this thing about the lost sheep, you know, leaving 99, it's absolutely crazy. Imagine minding 99 sheep, 100 sheep. One goes missing, and you head off looking for one of them. Sure, you know, I'm often told you, there's a story told of one of our priests one time downtown, and this woman was looking for her child in Dunstores or one of the shopping markets, and he said, "Are you all right?" She said, "I've lost my child, I don't know where it is." He said, "Have you any more at home?" And she said, "I have a few." I said, "You've enough, so you're grand, you know." So, you know, would you do that to a mother, you know? I hope it's only a story, you know. If she have more at home, you'd be grand. It's this idea that one would go missing, and that the good shepherd, which is Jesus, will go looking for them. That's extraordinary mercy, you know, to abandon all. But wouldn't any parent do that, looking for their child? You'd leave them all 5 at home happily, or for 6 or 7, or maybe 1 or 2, in order to find that one child. And that's what Jesus is saying, the extraordinary mercy, that you might be lost. You know, I do believe, and excuse me for saying it, but sometimes we like to get lost, don't we? We love to get lost. We kind of love to hide from God, and it's part and parcel of growing up in the world, is sometimes you'll get stuck in a bush somewhere, and there'll be thorns, and sometimes you actually like being in there. It's a sad reality of life. We do like sometimes being in terrible places for ourselves, and we know we have to go back, and we know we have to get back on the road again, but sometimes we like to hide in this idea of a ticket full of thorns. We kind of enjoy that, but there's a point comes where we say, I need to go home. It's the prodigal son, I need to go back. I need to go. We've all been there, and sometimes we'll always be there. And sometimes people will stay in the thorn bush for the rest of their life. They're quite happy in it, You might want to convert them, but they're quite happy in their sin or their problems. The thing is, never worry about your children or your grandchildren. Never worry about them, no matter what way they've fallen into a ditch. He'll find them. He'll find them. And it mightn't be in your time, but he will find them, because they're his sheep. And they can cry and they can roar and they can bleat from the bush, but he'll find them. So don't be worried about them, and trust them to the Lord, the Good Shepherd. They belong to him. And maybe it's yourself. He'll catch up with you eventually. He'll find you once he's after finding the rest of us. We all belong to him, and he'll seek us. So he doesn't look at the 99 and say, I'm grand, I've enough of them. He's never happy until we're all home.